Hey, you probably think the number one reason marriages fail is cheating right wrong. It is not what happens in the bedroom that destroys relationships. It is what happens in the bank account. Here is a brutal truth. Love is grand, but divorce is expensive. And right now, studies show that 40% of you watching this are actively committing financial infidelity. You are hiding purchases. You are keeping secret stashes. You are lying to the person you love. Why? Because you are torn between two extremes. On one side, you have Dave Ramsey screaming that if you do not merge every single penny, you are just roommates with sex benefits. On the other side, you have Kevin O'Leary warning that if you do not keep your money separate, you are a fool waiting to be financially ruined. So, who is right? The answer is neither. In this video, we are not giving you generic marriage counseling. We are handing you the mathematical formula to protect your assets, keep your freedom, and stay married. Welcome to the battle of yours, mine, and ours. Welcome to Section 1, the I Do Debt Trap. Let's get real for a second. When you get down on one knee or she says yes, you are thinking about the cake, the dress, and the honeymoon in Hawaii. But legally, you are not just getting a life partner. You are signing the biggest business contract of your life. Marriage is a merger and acquisition. Period. And this is where the trouble starts. See, back in the day, maybe when your grandparents got married in the 1960s, things were simple. They were like 22 years old. They had no money, no assets, and barely any debt. Merging their finances was easy because, well, 0 plus 0 is still 0. They built everything from scratch together. It made perfect sense to throw everything into one pot because there was nothing in the pot to begin with. But you are not your grandpa. Here is the reality of 25. The average American man now waits until he is 30 to get married. Women are right behind at 28. That is nearly a decade of living alone. A decade of building what experts call a financial identity. Think about it. By 30, you have your own 401k, you have your own credit score, you have your own way of spending money. Maybe you like buying expensive crypto, or maybe you have a sneaker addiction. And let's not forget the ugly part. You probably have debt, student loans, car payments, credit cards. So when you get married in 2025, you are not merging two blank slates. You are merging two fully operational companies with different cultures, different assets, and different liabilities. Imagine taking two CEOs who have been running their own show for 10 years and suddenly forcing them to share one bank account and ask for permission to buy lunch. It is a disaster waiting to happen, and the data proves it. Recent reports show that only 40% of couples today are fully merging their finances, a historic low compared to previous generations. Why? Because we are realizing that the old one-pot method doesn't fit our new reality. This friction leads to something terrifying called financial infidelity. A shocking survey reveals that 40% of you watching this right now are actively hiding money from your partner. 40%. That is almost half the room. They hide purchases. They keep secret credit cards. Why not? Because they are bad people. But because they feel suffocated. They want to avoid the fight. They want to keep a tiny slice of that freedom they had when they were single. You see the I do. Debt trap isn't just about the money you owe, it is about the freedom you lose. If you merge everything, you feel controlled. Why did you spend $200 on that? Why is the savings account low? You stop being lovers and start being auditors. But if you keep everything separate, you risk drifting apart. Recent census data shows nearly a quarter of couples are keeping their money completely separate. But that comes with its own risk. You become two people living in the same house, splitting utility bills. Like college roommates wondering if the other person is secretly drowning in debt. That will eventually sink you too. It feels like a lose-lose situation, doesn't it? Well, that is because the experts have been giving you two extreme choices, and both of them suck for the modern couple of 2025. So let's look at who these experts are and why their advice might be ruining your life. Let's go to Section 2, the old school versus the new reality. So who are these experts fighting over your wallet? And why does their advice feel like it belongs in a different century? In the red corner, we have the heavyweight champion of traditional finance, Dave Ramsey. His philosophy is simple. You get married, you become one. One house, one bed, one bank account. He calls this the one-pot rule. Ramsey is brutal about this. He famously says that if you keep his and hers accounts, you are not really married. You are just, and I quote, roommates with sex benefits. Ouch. His logic is that marriage is about total trust. If you are keeping money separate, you are practically preparing for a divorce before you even cut the wedding cake. And honestly, he has a point. A study from the Kelley School of Business found that couples who merge their finances are actually happier and stay together longer. They stop keeping score of who paid for what and start acting like a team. This one-pot method is exactly how the baby boomer generation operated. It is simple. It is transparent. But there is a catch. It can feel suffocating. If you are a high earner or someone who values autonomy, dumping your entire paycheck into a pot that someone else can drain feels risky. And if you have different spending habits, say you are a saver and she is a spender, the one-pot method turns every single Amazon package into an argument. That brings us to the blue corner. The challengers. The voices of the modern generation like Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank and Ramit Sethi. Kevin O'Leary takes the complete opposite stance. He says you should never ever merge everything. His rule, you need to maintain your own financial identity forever. Why? Because in 2025, you need your own credit score. If you merge everything and your partner screws up the joint account, your credit score goes down with the ship. O'Leary argues that keeping accounts separate is not about a lack of trust. It is about risk management. And guess what? The younger generations are listening. According to the latest data from the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of couples with strictly joint accounts has dropped to just 40% in 2023. Meanwhile, the number of couples keeping their money completely separate has jumped to 23%. Why is this happening? Two-word student loans. Millennials and Gen Z are walking down the aisle with massive debt. If you marry someone with $50,000 in student loans, keeping your accounts separate feels like a smart legal firewall to protect yourself. But here's the problem with the separate model. It turns your marriage into a business transaction. When you keep everything separate, you risk falling into the roommate effect. You start calculating. I paid for dinner last night, so you owe me for groceries today. I paid the electric bill, so you cover the Netflix. This creates a transactional relationship. You stop being partners who support each other unconditionally and start being accountants auditing each other. Instead of our money, it is my money versus your money. And when hard times hit, like one of you losing a job, that separation can feel incredibly cold and isolating. So here we are. Option A is the one pot, where you might feel controlled and lose your identity. Option B is total separation, where you protect your credit score but might lose the emotional connection of a marriage. Both options have major flaws for the modern man. You want the teamwork of Ramsey, but the safety and freedom of O'Leary. Is it possible to have both? Yes. And the answer lies in a strategy that is taking over 2025. It is not yours or mine. It is yours, mine, and ours. Let's break down the mathematical formula for this in Section 3. The golden solution, the hybrid model. So we have established that the one-pot method can feel like a cage, and the total separation method can feel like a business deal. What if there was a third way? A way to keep the team spirit of a marriage, but also keep the freedom of being a grown man. Enter the hybrid model, or as I like to call it, yours, mine, and ours. This is the strategy that is winning in 2025. In fact, recent data shows that nearly half of American couples, 49% to be exact, have now switched to some version of this model. Why? Because it works. Here's how to set it up. It is not rocket science. It is just smart engineering. Step 1. The joint operating account. The hours. You open one joint checking account. This is for the team. This pays the mortgage, the utilities, the groceries, and the kids' braces. This is the engine of your family life. But here's the trick. How much do you put in there? Do not just split it 50-50. If you earn $100,000 a year and your wife earns $50,000, splitting the bills 50-50 is mathematically unfair. You will have plenty of cash left over to buy a new golf club while she is struggling to buy a coffee. That breeds resentment. And resentment kills marriages faster than poverty. Instead, use the proportional split formula championed by experts like Suze Orman. Here's the math. If you bring in 70% of the total household income, you pay 70% of the joint bills. If the rent is $3,000, you pay $2,100, and she pays $900. This way, you both feel the same financial weight relative to your income. It is not about equality, it is about equity. Step 2. The freedom accounts. The yours and mine. This is the game changer. After you have funded the joint account for bills and savings, whatever is left stays in your personal account. Ramit Sethi calls this guilt-free spending. This is your money. You can burn it, save it, or buy that ridiculous limited edition Lego set you have been eyeing. And the best part, she cannot say a word about it. Why? Because the bills are paid. The retirement is funded. The family is safe. This completely eliminates the micro fights of marriage. You know the ones. Why did you spend $5 on Starbucks? Why did you buy another video game? With the hybrid model, those questions disappear. You gain autonomy. You regain your identity. Step 3. The automation. Now you might think this sounds like a lot of work. It is not. You set it up once on payday. The money hits your personal account. An automatic transfer moves your share of the bills to the joint account. The rest stays with you. Done. This model is the perfect safety valve. It gives you the we are a team feeling because you are tackling life's expenses together. But it also gives you the I am my own man feeling because you still control your own discretionary cash. But there is a hidden danger here. Even with this perfect model, things can get messy if you do not know the legal difference between joint tenancy and tenants in common. Or if you live in a state that doesn't care about your separate accounts anyway. And you definitely need a better tool than a spreadsheet to track all this. So how do you protect yourself legally, and what tech should you use to run this system without going crazy? Let's dive into Section 4, the legal landmines and the fintech saviors. Okay, so you have set up the accounts. You are feeling good. You think you are protected. But wait, before you get too comfortable, we need to talk about the legal landmines that can blow up your entire yours, mine, and ours strategy. Because in the eyes of the law, a bank account isn't just a bucket of money, it is a legal contract. Landmine number 1, the JTWROS trap. Most joint accounts in the US are set up as joint tenancy with rights of survivorship, or JTWROS. It sounds fancy, but here's what it means. If you die, she gets everything automatically. No probate, no courts. That sounds great for estate planning, but here's the scary part. It also means 100% access right now. If things go south, she can legally drain that entire account and fly to Mexico, and the bank will not stop her. If you want protection, you might want to look into tenants in common, where you each own a specific percentage. It is less common for checking accounts, but for big assets, it is a must-know. Landmine number 2, the community property reality check. You might think keeping a separate account in your own name protects that money from a divorce settlement. If you live in California, Texas, Arizona, or any of the 9 community property states, I have bad news for you. The judge does not care whose name is on the debit card. If you earned that money while you were married, it is considered 50-50 property. Period. So do not use separate accounts just to hide money. Use them for autonomy, not for asset protection, because the law is smarter than you think. And be careful of commingling. If you deposit an inheritance into that joint account for just 1 second, boom, it becomes marital property forever. The fintech saviors stop using Excel. Now let's talk about how to run this without turning your marriage into a part-time accounting job. Stop using spreadsheets. It is 2020. We have AI for this. If you are a high earner or an investor, the best tool right now is Monarch Money. Since Mint shut down, this has become the king. It allows you to have a household view. You can log in and see the joint account and your personal investments while she logs in and sees her side. It tracks your total net worth automatically, so you are playing the long game together. If you want something simpler or if you fight about specific bills, look at Honeydew. It is designed specifically for couples. It lets you see each other's balances if you choose to share them. And this is my favorite feature, it lets you chat and send emojis on specific transactions. Instead of texting, "Did you pay the electric bill?" the app just notifies you. It removes the nagging. It acts as a neutral referee. Technology is the secret weapon of the hybrid model. It creates transparency without forcing you to merge everything. But even with the best legal structure and the best apps, none of this matters if you cannot have the hard conversation to set it up. How do you tell your wife you want a freedom account without sounding like you are planning an escape? We will tell you exactly what to say in Section 5, the conversation you are afraid to have. All right, you have the strategy, you have the apps, you know the laws. But now comes the hardest part, the part that makes your palms sweat. How do you actually tell your wife you want to change how you handle money without making it sound like you are planning a divorce? Because let's be honest, if you just walk into the living room and say, "Honey, I want a separate bank account," she is going to hear, "Honey, I am hiding something." So do not do that. Here's the script. Here's exactly how you handle this conversation like a leader, not a roommate. First, the timing. Never ever bring this up when you are already fighting about money. Do not bring it up when the credit card bill arrives. Do it when things are calm. Open a bottle of wine. Make it a money date. Second, the pitch. Don't frame it as "I need space." Frame it as "I want us to stop fighting." Say something like this: "I love you and I love our life, but I hate that we bicker about small purchases. I want to try a system where the bills are 100% covered. Our future is secure, but we both get a little bit of guilt-free freedom to be ourselves." Third, the 3 rules of engagement. Once she is listening, you need to lay down 3 ground rules to make this work. Rule number 1, the naked truth. You have to put everything on the table, every debt, every secret credit card, every bad investment. You cannot build a hybrid model on a foundation of lies. As Dave Ramsey says, you need absolute honesty. If you hide a $10,000 debt now and she finds out later, the system fails. Rule number 2, the joint vision. Before you split your fun money, you have to agree on the rich life vision. What are you saving for a house? A trip to Italy, early retirement. If you don't have a shared goal, the separate accounts will just drive you apart. The joint account is the priority. The personal accounts are the reward. Rule number 3, the no questions asked policy. This is the most important rule. You have to agree that you will never judge how the other person spends their personal allowance. If she wants to spend her entire allowance on shoes, you say nothing. If you want to spend yours on a trip with the boys, she says nothing. That silence. That is the sound of a happy marriage. Conclusion. Look, marriage is hard. Money is stressful. But it doesn't have to be a war zone. You don't have to choose between being a dictator who controls every penny or a roommate who lives a separate life. The hybrid model. Yours, mine, and ours is the balance. It gives you the security of a partnership and the dignity of an individual. It protects your assets. It protects your credit score. But most importantly, it protects your peace of mind. So stop fighting about the latte. Stop hiding the receipts, set up the system, automate the flow, and get back to enjoying your life with the person you married. If you found this video helpful or if it just saved your marriage, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. If you want me to make more videos explaining these topics, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'm Pot Wall Street.